Hey, shave, haircut, very nice. So here we are. I ground up the biscotti this morning and made my crust before I remembered I was supposed to show you how to do it. So it's in a bowl. It's ground up. I added a little bit of butter and a little bit of brown sugar. And all you want is for whatever you're doing, add enough butter and brown sugar until it holds together like that. And then you could use that as a crust, and whether you're using graham crackers or ground up whatever. So here's a crappy old springform pan was laying around. I've lined it with parchment paper. I stuck the parchment paper to the sides with just a little bit of butter, and I could have used anything. I just happen to have a small dish of butter beside me. I often have a small dish of butter beside me, and this parchment paper is, I kind of built it into the pan so it'll stay where it is. And that's just so that it's easier to get, it'll be easier to get this mousse cake out of the pan. And like I said in a previous video, I don't remember what I was talking about acetate. And that's that clear plastic film. I'm just going to dump that on there. That we use in industry to make beautiful, flat, shiny sides for things, or sometimes piping chocolate decorations. So normally this would have an acetate outside, but I don't have acetate, so we're using parchment paper. And then what we'll do is when we unmold it and take it out of the parchment paper, we'll use a hot knife or a hot offset spatula, and we'll smooth the sides off, which we probably wouldn't have to do if we used acetate. Okay, so I've just pressed that in there gently. Lovely. And that's going to go in the oven just for a few minutes to set it up, and then we'll start making our mousse. Okay, so our crust baked beautifully. It's there. We're going to make the dark chocolate mousse first. And that recipe I've made a bit smaller. 360 milliliters of whipped cream. Well, 360 milliliters of cream that's been whipped, so that's almost a liter now. 3 egg yolks. A quarter cup of honey. 170 grams of dark chocolate sitting on the stove. 6 grams of gelatin. So this is gelatin powder, which is, we have this at the school. Usually this is what you have it in your home. The recipe actually calls for leaf gelatin, which is what we normally see in industry. And it's a much stronger, sort of better quality gelatin. But what in both cases you have to mix the gelatin with a little bit of water it's called bloom, to bloom it. And then it just absorbs liquid. And then ends up looking something like this. And this stuff doesn't actually smell very good. I'm not a big fan, to be honest with you. This stuff has to be melted. Okay, so I'm just going to stick this in the microwave for, probably won't take more than about 20 seconds. And that'll melt. In the meantime, I've got chocolate here. Over hot water. That chocolate's pretty hot. And there we go. So 15 seconds about. Melted that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the egg yolks and we're going to combine those with the hot chocolate. The heated chocolate, I guess. And it's going to give the chocolate a really cool, sort of unctuous, which kind of means like luxurious feel. And what happens is the egg yolks actually get cooked because the chocolate is fairly hot. Okay, so that's the first thing we combine. The chocolate and the egg yolks. And that's nice and hot, so I'm going to go ahead and put the gelatin in as well. And the gelatin and the chocolate are what makes the mousse set. In this case, we're making a mousse cake. Sometimes I have another mousse recipe here that I'll send when I send this one. That's just called chocolate silk, and it doesn't have gelatin at all. But it maybe wouldn't be suitable for making into a cake. It would be more like something you would put in a cup. And then honey goes in here as well. Gives it a really nice, chocolate and flour actually go kind of well together. And honey always has kind of a floral note. So see that really nice kind of, I want to call it chewy, but it's not chewy, but it's got a nice sort of stretchy candy look to it. Now we're going to need, now this actually has to cool off a little bit. And then we fold the whipped cream into it. So what we'll do now, instead of folding hot chocolate and cold whipped cream together, which would be a disaster, the whipped cream would lose all of its air. We're just going to set that aside, let it cool for a bit, and we can put the white chocolate mousse together as well. So I'm just going to melt that gelatin, and the white chocolate mousse is going to have some fruit flavor in it. So there's white chocolate, and it's hot. And so we're going to add our egg yolks. My kids make fun of my stubby little yellow spatula. I've had it for ever. My brother gave it to me as a gift one year, and I just keep trimming it off. White chocolate's a different kind of thing. It's a confection. It's not really chocolate. It's cocoa butter in this case, and flavoring, vanilla and sugar. So what are we going to add to this? Instead of honey, we're going to add some lovely berry puree that I made earlier. And you'll remember back to the strawberry ice cream. I used the same process. I took some mixed berries, mostly raspberries and blackberries, tossed them in some sugar, and then pulled the liquid off. And so this will be a nice sort of pinkish color when we're done. And we'll have a really nice berry flavor. So I'm just going to continue mixing this. I need to put the gelatin in. I forgot about that. Okay, and again, I'm going to turn you guys off for a little while and wait for these things to cool. And then we'll put the whipping cream in, and we'll layer it in our pan. And then I'll chill it again for quite a while. And then we'll unmold it and take a look at it. Okay, so it's good, nice flavor. Okay, so I'll see you in a minute. All right, so I've moved the chocolate mousse base into a steel bowl. Glass bowls will insulate, so This I want to stay warm. I don't want the gelatin to start setting up yet. I'm going to cool this one off a little bit. And that's pretty good. And it almost has the texture and feel of the inside of a Three Musketeers bar, that kind of nougaty feeling. So really soft peak whipped cream is better for is easier to fold in. And this first third mostly just lets the chocolate out a little bit. So it just makes it a little bit more liquidy. End of it. So we just gently fold these together. This is going to go in here. Oops. Some chocolate on my rubber scraper. So I'm going to make this flat. Good. Oh, very good. Tastes like really good chocolate ice cream. I'm going to just stick this in the fridge / freezer for a little bit. Because we want it to set up before we put the other mousse on top. Okay, so our mousse cake is nicely set. It's got a firmness to it. So I'm going to dump this berry white chocolate mousse into the metal bowl to cool it a bit more quickly. I think I better get a better rubber scraper than this little nub. Nub scraper. All right. I think I need to get some more scrapers. So again, I'm just going to move this around in here. You'll notice that this is it's a different texture. The white chocolate is less firm than dark chocolate. And so the mousse will have a slightly softer texture. So just folding. So there are important things. What are the important things? The chocolate has to be hot enough to cook those eggs. Yes. You have to make sure this chocolate, before you fold in your whipping cream, make sure that it's cooled sufficiently so it doesn't crush or collapse your whipped cream. If you're doing layers like this, you want to make sure the bottom layer is set before you add the top layer, so they don't squish into one another. You want, when you cut it, you want to have two nice layers. You don't want to have sort of a blobby, marbly thing. Maybe you do. Maybe you want more blobby, marbly. we are not going to have blobby marbly. Boy, I'm glad I made these recipes smaller. Look at the size of that. That's going to be a big cake. Nice flavor. All right, so that's going to go in the freezer or the fridge. I'm going to stick it in the freezer. It'll go faster. Sometimes you hear things with gelatin shouldn't go in the freezer. I don't think that's true. I've never had problems freezing things with gelatin. Well, things like this anyway. Okay, so we'll see in a few minutes. Farley. Hi, Farley. Oh, what are you doing? This is Louie. 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 That's Louie. And there's Farley again, upset because we're paying attention to Louie. And that huge beast is Pellet. Hello, Pellet. There you go. Those are the pets, guys. Okay, so here's our mousse cake. We're gonna take it out of the pan. Hopefully. Man, it's stuck. Oh boy. One of the reasons I'm not a big fan of springform pans. We're experiencing some technical difficulties. Do not adjust your sets. And that's how you break a springform pan. All right. We'll come back. My God. Okay, hold on. Okay. Springform pan in the garbage. Now, like I said, we have a nice crust under here, so this will actually just slide right onto the table. And we take off our parchment paper. This is the thing with parchment paper, it does stick a little bit, and so you end up getting kind of a less smooth finish. With acetate, that doesn't usually happen. So I'm going to run some hot water. Even just warm water. And you'll see that'll just smooth right out. Nice. To cut it, again, I would heat up my knife. Hot and wet would be good, so the mousse doesn't stick to it. And then I'll rinse it each time. Yay, mousse cake. Okay, so that wasn't very hard. Now obviously, we probably could have left it in the fridge for a little while longer, but that's a very nice soft texture, the nice crunchy crust. Nope, good. There we go. Here we have mousse and a broken springform pan. Yay. All right. See you guys later.